All beginnings are difficult. No matter what you're doing in life, whether it's learning a new language, embarking on a career, or working on a project, if you start something from scratch, you'll suck at first. This is part of the natural order and the way it should be. Don't worry too much about it and just keep going until you get it right. The devil's favorite piece of furniture is the long bench. In German, putting something in the long bank means putting it off. Etwas auf die lange Bank schieben, another very nice addition to your German slang. It seems the Germans knew about procrastination long before the word was on everyone's lips. What are you putting in the long bank that you could take care of right now? Don't let the devil win. Whoever rests, rusts. This saying states that in order to improve your skills, you must continually work on them. It also warns that if you want to achieve something, the most important thing is to act. Many ventures are never carried out and die for lack of follow-up. So get out of your ass before it gets rusty. Getting started is easy, persistence is an art. Starting something is much easier than seeing it through to the end. Haven't we all had the experience of being full of enthusiasm at the start of a new venture or venture only to see it fail over time? Maintaining motivation is an art form in itself that needs to be cultivated. Learn from damage. Many of us live in cultures that are very averse to failure. Nobody likes to spoil or fall on their face. However, what many people forget is that failure is a necessity for learning. Without making mistakes, you will never understand how to do it right. To quote Samuel Beckett, I've tried. Never failed. It doesn't matter. Try again, fail better. The cheapest is always the most expensive. This saying is a reminder to invest in quality. While the first push is often the cheapest option, most of the time it's worth spending a little extra. Whether it's study material, tutors, services, you name it. It almost always pays off in the long run. You can't see the forest because of the trees. In life, it is important to see the big picture. If we only focus on the last wins or failures instead of seeing our lives as a whole, we are vulnerable to the whims of fate and are easily frustrated. So don't give up on German just because you've had a bad vocabulary day. You can pick it up again tomorrow. Think before you act. While action is important, it is equally important to take the right action. Determining which one requires some deliberate thought. This proverb reminds us to set the right priorities and make decisions about what we want rather than rushing blindly into battle. Hurry up with while. While it's important to work hard toward your goals and not sit idle, W.E.R. Rastet, der Rostet, remember, you have to make time to smell the proverbial roses along the way. If we're too focused on the result and the end result, it's easy to miss out on all the fun of getting there. Don't worry about unlaid eggs. This one is a bit like don't count your hens before they hatch. However, while the English version asks us not to trust means we don't currently have, the German equivalent expresses the futility of worrying about things that haven't yet and never will. It is energy that is much better spent productively. Crooked wood also makes direct fire. The perfect is the enemy of the good. Many people wait for the elusive perfect moment, when the stars align and everything falls into place. But life doesn't work like that. This adage tells us to work with what we have available, not what we would like to have. Or to quote Theodore Roosevelt, do what you can with what you have, wherever you are. You have to accept things as they come. Along the same lines, life will rarely go exactly as we plan. Therefore, it is important to cultivate an adaptive mindset and deal with the current environment and conditions rather than wishing things were different. So take life as it is, not as it should be. Gold morning hat in the mouth. This might be the weirdest translation on the list, which German is prone to. Check out German vocabulary with surprising meanings to learn more. It's one of the ways Germans emphasize the importance of waking up early to get a head start on the day. Many inventors and creators of our time were early risers who used the early hours of the day as their most productive time. Highly recommended. The self is the man / the self is the woman. This saying is difficult to translate literally. Its English equivalent is self-do, self-have. We will often use waiting for others as an excuse not to act. The proverb says that if you want something done, you have to do it yourself. While the original is the male version, selbst ist die Frau is also widely used today. Actions speak louder than words. In German, actions don't speak louder than words, they are just more verbose. Of course, this means talking less and doing more. Many people want to do great things and like to talk about their plans, but they have no continuity. Let your actions speak instead of your voice. Practice makes perfect. Mastery is difficult to achieve. You have to continually improve your skills to get really good at something. If you want to reach a high level of proficiency in anything, you will have to take the time and practice. Whether it's business knowledge, physical skills, or language proficiency, there are no shortcuts. If you hunt two rabbits at the same time, you won't get one. This is the German way of telling you to stop multitasking. Be focused. Focus on one thing at a time and then move on to the next. Well done, grasshopper. By the way, does anyone else think that words like these should really be said by a wise kung fu master? Whoever says them must also say be. No, this is not the slowest way to learn the alphabet. Rather, it means that if you commit to something, commit to the end. Don't do things by halves or pick the cherry. It's for those people who approach things with the attitude of wash mir den Pels Abermach Michigan Nick Nass, wash my skin, but don't get me wet, which means they just want the result, but don't make the sacrifices it takes to get there. There. If the rider sucks, it's the horse's fault. Often, when we try something and fail, we want to take the blame away from ourselves. We don't want it to be our fault, but external factors and circumstances. The German proverb reminds us to take responsibility. Hunger comes with food. If motivation is low, one of the hardest things to do is get started. Yes, we want to learn German. Yes, we have committed this time to our study session. But we just don't feel like it. Do a little, study for just a minute. Most of the time, you'll find that after working for a while and making the process easier, it actually becomes fun and you want to keep going. Duty is duty and drink is drink.